Hello and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of footage there. Just having a bit of fun with one of the iPhones attached to a wagon. So as you can see, I've got this two sets of 3-rail running around the outside of the railway now. So I know I had loads of track all over the place last week. I've used up almost all of my usable straight pieces now, so I think this will be it for a moment or a while until I acquire some more track. So I've made some inquiries already. So ideally we'll get a few sidings and make the station a little bit more interesting. Let's just follow this round once more. There's those girders which I was showing you. I was gluing one of them together. I decided to print another handful. I had another 3 of those wagons. I think I've got a 5th one, but I can't lay my hands on it at the moment. I thought I had a boxed one. They're all unboxed. I think we'll just bring this round behind the station. I'm going to rotate the camera. There we go. And we'll just bring that to a stop. Actually, we'll stop it just there. We'll have a quick look at one of those wagons. See if we can lift one off the rails. So there's that 3D printed item, sorry. So just I showed one of those being glued together last week. It just needed a little bit more finishing off there. There's some little strandy bits that need tidying up, but in my haste to get them on the wagons, I haven't done so. So I thought those looked quite cute on there. Let's see if we can get that to hook back up again. There we go. Oh, I brought the whole lot off now. Should have left well alone. There we go. He says hopefully. Yeah, should have left well alone. There we go. Got that. Let's see if that lot will pull together. So let's give that a go. Let's get a bit wider. See if the whole train will move off. Clearly the wrong direction there. No. No, that's not going to do it, is it? Oh, we've got a bogie off here as well. That doesn't help matters. There, that's it. So let's make that go forward this time for real. There we go. Entire train joined up again. Let's just have a look at some of the other things. I've had a fiddle around with the station, and I've got some 3-rail coming through there. And what I'm planning, I'm not sure whether it'll work. You can see we've got this curve coming through here. So we'll get a set of points in there, and then we'll get a return loop so we can turn the whole train back round, bring it into the station, and then we'll join it back up into the main line as a means of turning an entire train round. Excuse me. The effects of my brush with COVID the other week are still getting me. Can't shake this cough. So as well as being able to turn the loco around on a turntable, we've got the ability to turn the entire train around, which I think is going to be good fun. Never had a loop where I can turn a whole train before in any of the layouts I've built. So quite looking forward to that. And I've been trying to keep the spacing right. I've got this cardboard spacers there, but it's amazing how this track creeps when you're using it. When you're running trains around it, it doesn't stay put. It does begin to creep and wander around the railway. So just fiddled around with the Series 3, added a few extra bits in, and I've got got an extra siding here which we'll try and put to good use later on. I don't know whether you call it excuse me, a siding or a passing loop, but anyway, that should add some extra fun. So we've got a set box there. Let's leave that one for the moment. What we really want to have a look at, because I said we'd have more TC out, and we will. We got this R7X set from the early 50s. Can't remember the exact date. Again, I'm losing my voice while we're speaking. Really pretty picture on there. So this has got the TC Pacific, but the box is so sort of worn. I'll lift that off with 2 hands, and we'll come back to it in a moment. But yesterday was the 15th of October, and I went down and visited the Hartlepool Model Railway Show excuse me, which is only about a 45-minute drive from here. So quite a nice day out. Relatively large show with plenty going on. So we've got a little bit of footage to get the feel of the show, and then we'll come back and I'll have that set open and we'll have a look at it. So Triang Man was there, so it was nice to meet up with him, have a quick chat. I didn't pick up anything from Triang Man, and Elaine's Trains was there as well, and strangely didn't manage to come away from anything from Elaine either. But what I did find on another stall was this set, which I'm quite pleased with. It's a RO passenger train set, fairly early-ish, sort of, again, early 50s. But again, it's quite difficult. It has sustained some damage to get the lid off. So again, when we come back, I'll get the lid off. So this is quite an early set box, and it's got Richmond, Surrey. I don't know whether we can get all the way in there. Can I lift that? Let's have a look in there. So some nice rusty staples there. But let's have a look at the footage, and then we'll get the TC Pacific on the go with a couple of those TC coaches. But let's just send this great looking blue. Well, I think the later set was called the Blue Streak, wasn't it? Let's give that a little bit of... I'm still going the wrong way, so there we go. It's because I'm not looking some of the time as well.
He gets around.
This year, nothing comes my grandson, he likes now, obviously, about just haven't got club members now. You know, I used to do it in Romania, which is not they're quite friendly. I can't get that many people to talk to. I can't get so his grandma gave him a 5. And then one Barrett took him to the 10. That's a Dapple Class 68. You're going to need a lot more fibres with so we'll have to talk real good.
hope you enjoyed that bit of footage. And there we saw the TC Pacific just running on the rolling road there. I'd have to give it a like going over. It's a couple of years since I've run this. If I can dig out the link to the earlier video with it in, I'll put it in. I've had it for quite some time. It's one of the items that came from our local model railway shop before it sadly closed down. So I think the locomotive, the TC Pacific, is R.54, and the tender is R32. So there's quite a bit of warping. So these items are made of cellulose acetate, very, very shiny plastic. Let's see if I can remove that from the box there. So let's pop that down. It's got very, very delicate decals on the side of it. You see, we have lost some already on the side of there, that number 3. But you can see that warp in the tank. Let me put that near a straight edge and you'll be able to see it. So if I put that there, so does that sort of show the warping there? So it's quite significant. It's got these lovely bogies on there. Have a quick look on the underside there. We've got Triang's name. I'm upside down with Triang's name. We'll use the excuse to turn it around and have a look at the other side. The numbering on the other side is a little bit more complete. Let's see if we can get enough light there to see the name on the bottom. There's Triang. We've got the catalogue number, R32. Made in England. You can see the very crude wheels. And I think we have a lamp detail on the back, potentially, that red dot there. You've got these terrific ladders and all of that riveting detail in there. And coal, must be great big water tanks in there perhaps. So let's just pop that down and let's see if we can get that on the rails. So pop that on the rails there. So versions of this model are made from the early 50s right through into the early 70s. I think there's some variations. I've showed some before. There's one with a Flying Scotsman tender with the chuff-chuff sound in it. So some quite interesting variants. This is a very basic one. It has a really beautiful front end. It's all moulded into one. Let me see if I can just remove that from the box here. There we go. So if we can just have a look at the back end of the cab there. So very difficult to see all the way down into the cab there. I'll see if I can get a drop-in picture with a bit of an improvement in detail there. So I think that plate on the back is a separately fitted part into the chassis. I'm going to put this down before I drop it, which will be tragic. So if we just have a look at that, we'll come around to the front end. Let me zoom in a little bit and see if we can get a little bit closer, but the more I zoom in, the shakier the picture gets. So you see this cow catcher here is all moulded into the body. It's a dummy light. This particular variant doesn't light up. Later variants did. Later variants also had smoke. This has the screw down the chimney. So the warping's not that bad on the body itself. It has shifted a little. It does come on and off the chassis relatively well. It's lovely bold, this white line detail running along there. So I don't know whether they're metal or plastic parts painted up in gold paint. I'm unsure of that. But the shininess is just astounding, isn't it? So let me see if I can turn that around and we'll look at the other side. So again, I think Triang just made use of a chassis they already had in use and put this wonderful looking body on it. I think there is a little bit of a twist in that body when you look along its line. So let's see if we have a swift look on the underside there. Lovely solid wheels. It just has such a lovely feel when it's running on the rails. So let's see if we can pop that on the rails and get that hooked up. Yeah, I think we're on there. Let's see if I can encourage the tender into position there. There we go, we're all hooked up there. Now, I'm not entirely sure it has all of its wheels on the track at the same time. Let's rotate this camera around. That'll allow me to get in a lot closer there. So I think the rear wheels are just lifting off the rails there a little, aren't they? So really lovely thing. Let me see if I can grab the control and we'll give this a little bit of power. Actually, I know my mistake here. Let's flip the camera around. I can hear the R159 double-ended diesel there creeping up behind me. Let's ease that back a little bit. I think that will just fit between the station. That's between the point either side of the station. Let me isolate that. Nearly had them both chasing each other around the rails there. There we go. So that should behave itself. Again, this is just a spacer I've been using to get the space really between the 3 rail, which is 32 millimeters. But also seems sensible to have it the same space between the rails there running through the station as well. So that's where that's derived from. I really should have hooked this up perhaps for the Morley controller. Let's get that again. Let's rotate that camera around. Let's go in tight and let's see if we can have a look at that valve gear. See if you'll creep forwards a little. And then back again. Doesn't she have a lovely sound on the rails? It's just so shiny. So we will have to forgive it if it jumps the points. I think it's the tender which is going to give us the problems there. So let's rotate that around. So we'll have a look at these coaches. So we've got the R.54 as the coach. These are fairly play-worn. So I don't think there's any seating in here. So we'll have a look over that. You can see these striations in the plastic, which I think is one of the reasons they started to put a red stripe down them. So I think these were available from sort of early 50s, 1954 through to the early 60s, but I think by the time the early 60s come along, they'd got a stripe down the side. But again, let's have a look at those bogies. Perhaps I can get this one. I'm on the verge of going into a coughing fit again. I do apologise. Again, got these lovely, very, very heavy bogies on there, but very crude. I know we've got R.24, R.25, so I think the same base of the body there will work for the Vista Dome with a different roof. So let's see if we can pop that on the rails. So I think this roof detail is the same details used on the blue coaches. I think the body moulding's just carried over, and they just moulded these in different colours. So here we might have a little bit of trouble. But when I did fiddle with this earlier, it did behave enough for a couple of runs round without leaping off. So we'll grab the Vista Dome. So Vista Dome R.25, again available from the early 50s through to early 60s, probably gaining the red stripe along its side at some point. You see the numbering's away, and the striations in that plastic are quite severe, aren't they? So let's turn that around. You see that's definitely seen better days, hasn't it? And then we've got that lovely dome detail along the top there. So a swift look on the underside there. It's very shiny, isn't it? So we'll pop that on. Get that into place. Smooth running. They do have quite a rattle to them once they're on the go. I've just noticed that coupling is a bit more bent out than I had anticipated. So there is a baggage car that goes with these, and a observation coach as well, but we'll save those for another day. So they didn't come in the set like that set we saw. RS14 last week had 4 coaches in it. So I think if we give that a little power. Actually, no, let's just have a look at a couple of the other items in the set whilst we're here. So it's got some of the early track. I think in the earlier video I used this. I did have this track plugged together and got it to run around it, which is why these rails are a little bit nicer. They had been cleaned up, and a wipe of WD-40 over them before I put them away again. So they've stayed in relatively good condition. Got to be 2-3 years maybe. I think this was possibly another one that was down on the carpet. I don't think this is the original bunch of track which went in there. I think there's a set of points hiding in the bottom there. And we've got these lovely, let me zoom in a little bit. I think this yellow's playing havoc with the colour balance as well. You've got these lovely cables with these are they brass ends on them. They look to be turned. And there would have been a power clip, I suspect, in here. We've got the speed controller. I don't know whether I can get the speed controller out. There we go. So have a look at that. All that info in there. Got that bright red reset button as well for short circuits. Yeah, the colour balance is all over the place. So you'd need a power supply into there, and then which way is out to the tracks. We would need the instructions. Sadly, no instructions with the earlier sets, like the RO set behind me there has the instructions pasted onto the inside of the lid. So yeah, quite a lovely thing. It's relatively light, and all those holes punched through the bottom there. So we'll pop that down, and we'll definitely give that a little power, I think. I'm not going to force that back into the box. The box has suddenly shrunk. Yeah, we'll leave it alone. So let's widen out the camera a little. Here we go. We're on the clipper. Let's give that a little power. Let's watch for coaches breaking loose. It's quite a distinctive rattle coming from those early coaches. Through the station. Now sadly I've got a flashing light on my camera here telling me it's having trouble with the Bluetooth connection between it and the gimbal, so if it all goes wobbly we'll cut away and come back. Let me see if I can rotate round, and we'll go in a little tighter here. And through the tunnel. Yeah, a truly beautiful thing, I think. I know I keep saying this, but they're just amazing items. I mean, they would have been amazing when you got them back in the 50s, these, but they're just something else, really. So let's grab hold of the control. We'll swivel that around. Let's bring that to a stop there in the station. There we go. So there's the, we've got that 00 train there as well. Let's have a look at that. Let's have a quick play with that whilst we're here. Let's get that around the rails. So I'll just swap the handheld around, and we'll give that a bit of power. Sorry, looking in the wrong direction there. So. I've still got some dead spots in this track. I haven't fully got it sorted yet. So there's a lot of cleaning gone on. And as I was saying earlier, the track does creep. So I think if I am going to stick with this, I'm going to have to commit and pin some down at some point. There we go, we'll bring that back to the station. There we go, we'll leave that there. So let's have a look at this RO set. Let's just have a quick glance at the box lid. So a truly wonderful picture there. So these are got to be hand coloured, I think. I know colour photography was available back when these sets were made, but it was unusual. I suspect this is black and white and then hand coloured and worked up as an illustration on top of a photograph, perhaps. So we've got a number of princesses in this picture, haven't we? Really lovely thing there. These elevated sections on the track, and this advertising along the edges of the boards here, all the familiar names that crop up on the Triangle buildings. So I think we did point out before that it had Richmond on the side of the box. Let's have a look there. And I'm going to see if I can flip this box over, and then we can have a look at the inside. So it's all held together by sellotape. It's all a bit rickety. Let's see if we can get wide enough and have a look at that. I'm just going to put that down, and we'll risk the camera going funny by pointing it fully down to the floor here. So there, operating instructions, trying railways, and there's the name of the set, RO, and I think that's got to be a date there, 13/08/53, so 13th of August 1953 perhaps. This lovely battery box. I haven't got one of those, and now we have a battery box feeding power to one of those power type controllers we saw there. But there is a power controller, or what looks like a power controller on the top of there as well, doesn't there? So quite an interesting item. Servicing info, how to get power while you're servicing for cleaning and so on. And now we've got Rovex Plastics Limited, Richmond, Surrey, a member of the Lyons Brothers Group of companies. See, it's just beginning to peel away, but what a great thing. Pasting the instructions on the underside of the box lid. I thought that was quite lovely. Let's have a look at the items themselves. So, having only got this set yesterday, I haven't really gone over anything. The locomotive does run. The gentleman who sold it to me, he had it on a piece of track, and it runs up and down. But it'd probably benefit from a little bit of work. So I don't know whether I can lift that out. Let's see if we can pop that down over here and have a quick look over it. Let me zoom in a little bit as well. So see, connection rods need a little bit of a light clean. It's covered in dust. Those front bogie wheels are really ingrained with stuff. And it's got its front steps. There's a bit of a curl in that foot plate running along the side, isn't there? But it's remarkably little distortion for a model from this period. So no brass safety valves yet. Have a look at the back here, and it's got the slot for the drawbar to come through. Lots of detail there on the inside. We'll just pop that around and have a look at the other side. There we go. Quite a pretty thing. I mean, along with the TC Pacific, these are really lovely toys. Thick red paint on the buffer beam now, all cracked away or chipped away. So we'll just leave that there, and we'll see if we can pinch out the tender. So again, it's got that lovely big lion logo on the tender there. It's just holding on to some of its gold colour. It's embossed into the plastic, heat printed. See how shiny that is. Closed axle boxes, so no flanges on those centre wheels. It's all in fairly tidy condition. Let's see if we can turn that around and have a look at it. Look how shiny the back end of that tender is. Plenty of distortion going on there. It's lifting away from the bottom, isn't it? So quite a sweet thing. Plenty of dust. Losing my voice here by the second. So yeah, let's pop that down there. So I think maybe we'll just drop them on the rails and see how we go. It's not going to be, it might be a bit coughing and spluttering. So yeah, so let me just grab the notes. I can't remember the numbers for those coaches now. I know we looked at some earlier. A couple of weeks ago we had one running with a 3F tender, not the tender locomotive, the Ginty. So these coaches R20, sorry, the Princess is R50 and R30 tender. So they went on to sell these items separately, locomotive and tender separately. So they had their own numbers, but obviously in a set they come together. So the coach R20, these were made quite early on, from very early 50s to the mid 50s. So these are definitely got some distortion, and the previous owner looks to have glued them together. I don't know whether some effort has been made to try and prevent it from distorting or bending or bending it back into shape. So this is a first. Let's have a look underneath there. There's Triang and Made in England. Definitely could benefit with a clean. That's really going to make my rails even more dirty than they already are. If you look at the couplings there, the same on the tender. I forgot to point out that slightly earlier variation of the Mark II coupling. Let's have a look. We've got the same on the back end of the tender there. So, and this is a third. From what I can see, I think in Pat Hammond's book, they both share the same catalogue number, R20, the firsts and the thirds. So it's still retaining some of its colour in the printing there. They're just lovely, those bogies, aren't they? That detail in those. Let's have a look on the underside there. So remarkably little distortion. Let's get that on the other side there. Yeah, great stuff. And then this wonderful battery box. So we put 2 batteries in there. I'm not sure whether I can get that out one-handed. There we go. So, Rovex, Richmond. So reverse, stop and forward. We won't twist that too much. There's not much resistance on it, but it would be such a shame to break that. And then Made in England there. I have noticed there's a couple of little chips out of it from what I can see. You can see in the corners there where the 2 halves come together, there's some chips where it's been put together. So it's perhaps, maybe if this is made from the bendy plastic, it doesn't fit together quite as good as it could. I'm not going to open it through fear of never getting it back together again. I think we'll leave it like that. And there's some more of those wonderful turned plugs on the end there, look. Quite lovely things. So I was quite pleased to get that, because I don't have one of those. And there's a handful of the early track with the grey bed on it. It has largely all distorted and shrunken. They don't plug together. You can't. There is quite a significant gap between the rails. Sorry, I'm struggling to speak again. There's the uncoupler and power rail there. Lovely thing. Look at that great spring on there. That makes a good sound, doesn't it? So what I think we'll do is what will we do? We'll get this TC Pacific into this siding here that I've created, and then we'll get the Princess on and see how she runs. And between now and the next video, I'll give it a little bit of a clean over, take some pictures of the inside so we can have a look what it looks like, and see if we can get it running a little smoother. So let's go for some power here. And we'll just swap hands. Sorry, I'm looking behind me there and I lost view with the camera. Let's see if she'll come through these points without losing her coach. I think that should just fit in there. Will we back that up a little? There. So, if we close this, and we'll close the other end. Let's see if we can get this Princess on the rails. Let's see if all those wheels, they sort of make contact. Let's give that a bit of power before we go any further, rather than trying to hook up the coaches as well. Yeah, that runs. It's a little bit hesitant. let's bring it the other side there, and perhaps I can reach over and we can pop those coaches on a little easier. Makes a terrific sound, doesn't it? It's not as coughing and spluttering as I thought it was going to be. So let's grab these coaches. Carefully. We'll take them to the other side there. So again, this video is going on a little bit. What have we got there? The third. Let's put the third on first. Yeah, there's lots of friction there. Those wheels are so dirty. So it might be too much for it. Yeah, if you look at those wheels, they're just caked. So I'll clean those up over the week, and we'll see if we can get an improvement in these. It's always going to be relatively crude running with items like this. Yeah, that almost doesn't roll at all, that one. Let's give it a go. Let's see how we do. Let's bring it into the station. There we go. I flip the camera around. Let's see if we can get some slightly tighter in shots as we go around. Let's see if it needs a little bit more power. Sorry about that, losing focus into the tunnel. I don't think that's too bad. I think it will be quite an improvement to clean the wheels. She's tearing away now she's warmed up. But I think that's probably it for this week. Thanks again for watching. If you look back again next time, we'll try and have something else to have a look at along with this princess. Goodbye now.